Dear college, old in years and fame, and richly old in honors too, time shall not dull the shining name, whose gleam our songs will e'er renew. And as years go by, dear William and Mary, thy fame will never cease. But each new year rejoice to see thy children's praise to thee increase. We honor thee not for our gain, but to make known thy majesty, thy truth and courage that remain, however harsh the face may be. As through troublous years, dear William and Mary, our country fought, so thou hast fought, and won and lived to hear thy children singing to thee now. Oh, how our guardian and our guide, renew our courage every hour, and keep thy spirit by our side, to aid us with its watchful power. Throughout all our lives, dear William and Mary, we pledge our loyalty. Dear college, now and evermore, thy children cry all hail to thee. Beneath thy trees, within thy halls, dear college, we give praise to thee, to pledge ourselves whatever befalls, to pledge unfailing loyalty. Our hearts are with thee, dear William and Mary, however far we stray. Thy noble college, hear us now, thy children sing to thee today. Dear college, old in years and fame, and richly old in honors too, time shall not dull the shining name, whose gleam our songs will e'er renew. And as years go by, dear William and Mary, thy fame will never cease. But each new year rejoice to see thy children's praise to thee increase. We honor thee not for our gain, but to make known thy majesty, thy truth and courage that remain, however harsh the face may be. As through troublous years, dear William and Mary, our country fought, so thou hast fought, and won and lived to hear thy children singing to thee now. O thou our guardian and our guide, renew our courage every hour, and keep thy spirit by our side, to aid us with its watchful power. Throughout all our lives, dear William and Mary, we pledge our loyalty. Dear college, now and evermore, thy children cry all hail to thee.
Welcome, class of 1974. Please remain standing as you are able while the Queen's Guard posts the colors.
arms. Right, face. Post, colors. Order, arms. Left, face. Right shoulder, arms. Forward, march. Left, 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 right, right, left, 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 right, right, left, left, right.
Please be seated. Good morning and welcome to the Old Guard induction ceremony and service of remembrance for the class of 1974. My name is Tina Reynolds Kenny. I am a member of the class of 1992 and a proud parent of two current William & Mary students. I am delighted to be here with you today as the president of your William & Mary Alumni Association Board of Directors. I am so grateful to have the opportunity to be part of this special day. And what a beautiful setting for this ceremony, despite the rain. There is perhaps no more iconic symbol of William & Mary than the Wren Building. It represents 331 years of this university, surviving through wars, fires, pandemics, and both the education and the hijinks of countless students. And I've read your class history in the Re-Echo, so I know you've got up to some hijinks. In good times and hard times, this is the setting for so many indelible memories and the centerpiece of so many traditions, including the one we celebrate today. Seeing all of you together more than 50 years after you first came to campus is very special. I hope this weekend has helped you to rekindle the friendships, reconnect with your alma mater, and recapture a sense of who you were as a student here. Since then, so much has changed in your lives and in our world. Each person's life has seen joy and sorrow, failure and triumph, disappointment and success. I am inspired by your passion and loyalty to William & Mary and your connections to each other through it all. You have had a momentous journey from students to the people you are today, and your William & Mary family is proud of you, and we thank you for your dedication and support throughout the years. Everyone who is called William & Mary home is connected by a thread that runs from the very beginning of this university to our newest students accepting admission this spring. We are the tribe, a family. As a member of the class of 1992, my experience here was shaped by the freedoms you won for students during your time here. And all the students after us continue in the great William & Mary tradition of bringing their passions, intellect, and deep sense of community to all they do. Fellow alumnus and former William & Mary President Tim Sullivan shared the following words during his commencement remarks several years ago about how many of us feel returning home to William & Mary. He said, "This college will always be home to you. When you return, and I know you will, full of nostalgia and that palpable sentimentality unique to alumni, you will feel again, as if for the first time, what it meant to live and to love those vivid years when all of you were young and beautiful and full of hope." Of course, you are still young and beautiful and full of hope. As you celebrate this weekend, I too hope you feel again what it meant to live and to love those vivid years that would shape who you would become. As we reminisce about the memories and friendships made on the campus, we now remember those whose absence is so keenly felt on this special occasion. In this service of remembrance, we honor the members of the class of 1974 who have passed before us. The choir will begin by sharing their beautiful voices with us as they sing Shenandoah. Then 50th Reunion Committee members Lynn Cole, Paul Dare, and Lynn Powell will read the names of the classmates we honor today. When all names have been read, we will have a moment of silence and the playing of taps.
O Shenandoah, I long to see you, and hear your rolling river. O Shenandoah, I long to see you, we're bound away across the wide Missouri.
I long to see your smiling valley and hear your rolling river. I long to see your smiling valley where we're bound away across the wide Missouri.
'Tis 7 years since last I shared would hear your rolling river. 'Tis 7 years since last I shared your rolling river. We're bound away across the wide Missouri, the wide Missouri. Oh, shining, I long to see you,
Larry Wayne Alpin, Louis Abrahamian Jr., Lynn Brugan Austin, Charles Alexander Bain, Robert Joseph Barnett, Elizabeth Rockwood Beckhouse, Richard S. Birdsong, Stephen Robert Blank, Ralph Starr Boggs, Gertrude Constant Pulaski Bonner, Alice Baker Borelli, Edward William Rowe, George H. Bowers, Florence C. Bragg, Russell E. Brown Jr., Frank D. Bruni, Stephen Lee Budman, Brenda Brigham Burgess, Desi Paul Campana, Alan David Carley Jr., Deborah Top Carlson, Al Marie Mason Carper, Carolyn Castile Carroll, Thomas E. Carson Jr., Louis Macaulay Chenault, Patricia Han Cole, Violet Milton Price Combs, Thomas Edward David, Eric Lee Davison, Robert Brent Dixon, Sue Apgar Di Gianpaolo, John K. Donahoe Jr., Thomas G. Duncan, Anna Margaret Erb, Werdna Wayland Yor Jr., Michael Farringer, David F. Fiddler, Alan E. Finder, John W. Finta, Gregory P. Freeney, Barbara Pete French, Williams Harris Gaines III, Carol S. Gallagher, Jr.
Robert Woodward Gardier, Jr., Susan Nicodemus Gilkey, Charles B. Goodman, Jr., Lawrence Keith Griffith, Patricia Mary Hayes, Peggy Scott Hedstrom, Thomas Benjamin Heitz, William Christopher Herman, Christopher Carl Hoffman, Michael Joseph Hospodar, Ann Hardy House, Charles Jarrett Howell, Elaine Tesco Humphrey, Bruce J. Jenkins, David A. Johnson, Rodney Keith Jordan, Stuart James Colner, Sandra K. Coteritas, Burton V. Kramer, Jr., Beverly Lee Laird, Roy Arnold Lawhon, Conrad Tenake Lawrence, Jr., Neil Stewart Lurch, Herbert Vaughn Ligon, Robert Gerald Lopez, Brian Hobart Loopy, Thomas S. Lyon, John Peterson McIntyre, Glenna Bowman McKenzie, Dorothy Bree Mallon, Ann Carey Glass Massa, Albert Peter McCloskey Jr., Janice Ann McGahee, Joseph Frank Melfi, Francis Council Miller, Gerald Glenn Miller, Gregory Marshall Miller, Crystal Lee Miller, Frank T. Moniz Jr., Arthur M. Moody III, Milton Noel Mooney, Michael Lee Mooring, Hughes Leroy Motley, Jeffrey William Naylor.
Virginia Northrop Nichols, Jeffrey Wayne Oxman, Daniel Middleton Oliver, Jennifer Lee Miller Owens, David Winslow Page, Peter George Papadopoulos, Patricia Hudgens Patton, Douglas Banks Pauley, Phyllis Royko Pierce, Robert Joseph Pareco, Patricia S. Phillips, William John Placco, Deborah Susan Pulliam, Albert R. Raffinelli, Christopher Brian Ramsey, Kathy Davis Ramsey, James C. Reese IV, John Craig Richardson, Gunnell Earnford Rinaldi, Gary C. Robertson, Juanita Benton Rowe, Richard D. Shelton, Joseph Jeffrey Shefford, Stephen Herbert Slagle, Stephen Dow Snoke, Thomas P. Smivey, John Tyler Stant, Catherine Crush Tate, William Gates Trout, Lemuel Simpson Tucker, Henry Coleman Turner, Jr., Lewin Edward Vermillion, David Nicholas Vogan, Linda Hart Wagstaff, Larry Wayne Wallace, Christopher Paul Wallen, Christopher H. Walters, Kevin A. Walters, Ruth Wilbur Whitten, Robert Charles Wick, Catherine Todd Wilkie, Joan Kendrick Wingfield, Elizabeth Bowers Wiseman, Phyllis A. Woodward.
Thank you, Lynn, Paul, and Lee. What a beautiful tribute to your classmates. It is now my honor to introduce our distinguished speaker, Sam Sadler, who I'm sure is familiar to many of you. He was Dean of Men from 1970 to 1973, Dean of Students for 2 decades, and Vice President for Student Affairs for another 25 years. He's also a member of the class of 1964 and received his Master of Education from William & Mary in 1971. His name is proudly displayed on the Sadler Center in the heart of campus, which is appropriate because in so many ways, Sam has been the heart of this campus. His impact on student life is significant, and many alumni attest to how Sam made a difference in their lives. Sam has many, many stories to share about his 41 years of service at William & Mary, and we are honored that he has agreed to regale us with some of those stories today. Please join me in welcoming Sam Sadler.
I was just told to take it easy. What is it with you guys? It rains on your big events. Man, and chilly. You know, one of the great benefits, I think Larry Pulley would agree with me on this too, about being in a place like this for so long, is that you do get a chance 50 years later to see what those students whom you first met as freshmen ended up looking like and what they accomplished. I can't resist, because I was once the historian of my sophomore class in high school, going back and looking through old yearbooks on occasions like this to remind me what you did while you were here. Well, some of the things aren't in the yearbook. You do look a little different. The guys don't have quite as long hair or sideburns or not many beards. I don't see cutoffs and T-shirts with slogans. But what your yearbook does reveal is a bit about the protest that was going on at the time that you were here. You came at a tumultuous time. There was the arguments and debates about the war, the battle for equality for African Americans, frustrations over the lack of a student voice in the management of this college and many others. By the time you graduated, many of those battles had been won, or they were in the process of being won. But what it took was an upheaval of an old order. When you entered, Dr. Pascal was president. Mr. Lambert was vice president. Dean of Women was Perdina Donaldson, and Carolyn Mosley, her assistant, and Carson Barnes, Dean of Men, along with his aides, Wally Elliott, and Joel McGurk. Fairly or not, they were all perceived to be a part of that old order, and they all left before you graduated. The other major things that happened was there was a federal court case that became pretty well known in higher education circles, filed by two people who were here when you were here, that challenged the kinds of rules and regulations that were imposed at colleges and the manner in which they were done. And those rules started to change. And very importantly, a new president was selected, Thomas Ashley Graves, Jr. I think it's fair to say that he and his young wife and family were a breath of fresh air. By the time you graduated, many of the time things that you had experienced as oppressive were gone, or they were on their way to being gone. Tom was determined to make William and Mary a very personal experience. And with your help, he did. There seemed to be no limit to how far they would go to accomplish that. I remember the president and his wife being given an invitation by the men of Old Dominion Hall to dinner in the hall. Now, I argued against his going, to be honest. You know what Tom and Zoe looked like. I mean, they were always immaculately dressed and very elegant people. But there were things that went on in Old Dominion that the campus police and the city establishment didn't exactly find welcome. So in this photo, there's Tom and Zoe sitting behind a table that had been constructed out of 2 sheets of plywood over a couple of sawhorses from some construction site. And in the middle of the table was a Chianti bottle with a candle in it for decoration. And the Graveses looked totally at ease, dressed impeccably as they always were. The guys looked pretty scruffy. But that photograph for me became an iconic representation of just how far your new president would go to reach out, to listen, and to respond. And the pieces of the college began to fit into a new pattern, and the campus was transformed. Just listen to this short list: self-determination, Project Plus, the pub, where many of you spent a lot of time, more study abroad opportunities, a new emphasis on the arts, a new art museum. And when I told later day students that the Dead, Crosby, Nash and Stills, Chicago, Linda Ronstadt had all played at William Mary Hall, they thought I was nuts, because they have none of that today. Self-determination was fully implemented, and very importantly, the rules and regulations were made to apply equally to men and women. And always during that time, there was that Graves magic personal touch. I would walk down the halls in the residences and note that almost every room had posted on maybe it was on the door of the medicine cabinet in the room, or a mirror, or on the main door, a handwritten note from Tom Graves, congratulating them on some honor or some recognition, or expressing his concern for them when someone or something had been lost. To me, one of the greatest contributions of your time and his time was just how personal the campus climate at William & Mary began to be. Now, not all of the Graves' efforts were as successful as the ones I just mentioned. For instance, some of you may remember this, and a couple of you may have been there, I'm not sure. But right in that yard over there, the Graveses threw an Easter egg party, to which they invited the children of the faculty and administration. And right in the middle of the Easter egg party, a motorcycle showed up. 2 naked bodies on the motorcycle. Well, not completely naked, because they wore helmets. Police came. Our police, as you remember, weren't the most able people in the world. A chase started there, went around campus, came up this side, and up at about Barrett, the police caught up with the motorcycle, grabbed the 2 students, and took them off to the local jail. I always thought somebody was being very kind with the charges, because they could have charged those students with public nudity and contributing to the delinquency of minors. Instead, they were charged with operating a motor vehicle without proper equipment and without a license. And this is true. The defense that they offered in court, particularly on the charge about the driver's license, was, well, I had no place to put it. And then there are the stories I could share, but I won't, about the streaking craze. Let me just say that with your antics, some of you kept me pretty busy, as you reminded me this morning, and often up pretty late at night. And you started that as soon as you came. At the conclusion of the opening meeting for new students over in Blow, a befuddled, frustrated, and a little irritated young couple confronted me with their dilemma. It seems they were both members of your class and married, but the wife had been assigned to live in a freshman men's dorm. And they'd been billed for it, and the college wasn't backing off. So I got the brunt of it. It turns out that Dean McGurk saw the name of the woman student, automatically assumed that it was a man, and assigned the woman a spot in Monroe Hall. That woman was Glenn Wade. And Glenn Close, as she is now, reminded me of that screw-up the last time she was here. As you look back at your time and as you have these last few days, I think you will agree that even through the turbulence and the distractions of the time in which you lived, you and the people sitting next to you and around you today found a way to make a difference. You found your voice, and the experiences you had helped you find the path your life was meant to take and gave you confidence in your ability to affect change. I'm just willing to bet that you feel that way too. And importantly, you managed to make great friends, some of whom are here with you today. And together you built memories that endured. The college may be larger in size than it was in your day, but it's still a place where personal interactions matter, just as they did to you. This is a place to which many of you have happily sent your sons and daughters, and some of you your grandchildren. And it's a place to which you've given generously as alumni to ensure that our college remains ascendant. In these ways, you've helped create the University William & Mary has become. And I feel so very privileged to have had the opportunity to have walked on that journey with you when you were students, and as some of you have come back to teach here, to serve on one of the college or alumni boards, or just to visit. I can no longer speak for William & Mary, but as one alumnus to another, I say thank you. Thank you for what you've meant and continued to mean to our alma mater, and thank you most especially for allowing me on this drizzly morning to spend some time and share a few thoughts with you. As Dr. Graves would have said as he looked out at this group, who would have thought? Welcome to the Old Guard.
Thank you, Sam. We are so fortunate you're here today to share your insights on life and the streaking craze in particular at William & Mary over the years. You've had a positive impact on generations of students, and we are grateful for your service to our alma mater. I'd now like to invite Jim Taylor up to the podium for the induction ceremony.
Thanks, Tina. Good morning. My name is Jim Taylor. I'm the class of 1969, and I'm the current Old Guard Council Chair. As you reenact your graduation, it's my privilege to speak to you this morning about the distinguished history of the Old Guard and what we hope receiving the medallion that you're going to receive will mean to you. In 1975, alumni who gathered to celebrate their 50th reunion formed and became the first members of the Old Guard of Their Majesty's Royal College in Virginia. Under the leadership of an alumnus from 1916, Ralph James, they established induction into the Old Guard as a milestone for celebration in the life of alumni. They recognized that having reached a mature age, they were still very active, productive alumni who wanted to contribute to the college community, not just financially, but in other significant ways. Since then, the Old Guard has become not only an important way to stay connected to the university, but also a network of friendship and support for all of its members. Through our events, communications, and meetings, we keep in touch with one another. We connect with students and other alumni, stay updated on the latest news from our alma mater, and, as necessary, make our voices heard. We are led by the Old Guard Council, which includes a man and woman from each class, celebrating 50 years since graduation. We're delighted that Lynn Cole and Lee Powell have agreed to serve as your representatives from the class of 1974 to the Old Guard Council. In 50 years, many good things have occurred in your lives as well as on this distinguished campus. May one of those good things now be your membership in the Old Guard of Their Majesties Royal College in Virginia.
I am now honored to invite each of you to come forward. Earlier this morning, you received a slip of paper on which to write your name as you would like it to be read for this ceremony. And I'm really hoping you kept it wet so I can still read it. As you come forward, please hand me this slip, and as I read your name, walk toward Jim to receive your medallion. Please remove your cap so that he can replace the medallion on your head. Then you may return to your seat. Are we ready? Denise Love Alexander. Richard Arnoldon. Janice Clark Augustine. Leslie Clark. Ed Coe Bailey. Jane Bergman. Susan Harsh Bamberg. Dr. Lori Baxter. Barry Blackwell. John Cachetta. Janet Cousins. Joyce Working. Will Yum. Clark. Hal Carter. Elise Carter. Patty Gritzon. Pat Gamerick. No, I messed it up. Cindy Bellamy. Rob Estes. Glenn Berger. Alan Boulichet. Belchez. Okay, sorry. Jane Faust Belchez. Deborah Clemmer Dykeman. Corey Pellegrin Huggins. Diane Byers. Catherine Hobbs. Carol Allen Leckleitner. Lori Dillon. Bird Smith Heaton. Mary Ann Blazek. Shelley Carmichael. Barbara Coulter Cox. Pamela Doolin Cohn. Linda Bryant Curry. Ann Toddy Dayer. Eve Early. Cheryl Bulmer Elston. Susan King Eftink. Tom Epps. Barbara Finn. Keith Fogg. Jenny Wagner Foster. Linda Sings Gilmart. Don Garber. Barbara Grover. Alice Sizemore Graves. Lynn Adams Hostetler. John Hostetler. Chris Honenberger. Molly Abern Ellis. Catherine McMillan. Barbara Rambo. Susan Early Otterow. Sarah Beeler Hudson. Mike Hudson. Lynn Krager. Jim Kennedy. Nancy Eller. Kimra Lewis Green. Richard Lafferty. Billy Luger. Lyndon Matthews Boone. Sharon Moran Bond. Beth Stoneberg Momquist. Diana Kevitt Kriegel. Marcia Montgomery. Randy Mathis. Earl McKenzie. Meta Thompson Lowe. Kay Tiller Montgomery. Susan Copley Novak. Carol White Nottingham. Thomas Monday. Ron Martin. Pauline Cameron Miller. Cheryl Macklin. Sue Billingsley Mosher. B.K. Mustaine Short. Barbara Foose Rayberg. Donna Foline Reichart. Ronald Riston. Lynn Dowling Rockenbaugh. James Jimmy Jim Person. John Rogers. Jacqueline Tam. Karen Shorshinsky Stapleton. I like it when I get a thumbs up. Barbara Blake Williams. Emmeline Mills Wygant. Sally Stocker. Sharon Jones Stamps. Mary Lou Conklin Stocky. Pat Sanderlin Burton. Linda Ross Sexton. Mary Brent Whipple. Lucia Kaiser. Delight Woodhull. Terry C. John Olson. N. Ross Thompson. Linda Wallinger. Bonnie Thatcher Gary. Shelton Smith. Linda Musser Shiner. Nancy Stone Johnston. Maud Ann Sharp Wilson. Kathy Hutchison Wilson. Alicia Cotter Wilson. Joy Topping Unger. A Ziploc bag, I love it. Carol Owen Alton. Milton A. Alton. James Walter Theobald. Mary Miley Theobald. Jim Fireball. Joe Insco. Bert Wilson. Larry Pulley. Frank Wood. Lee Powell. Lynn Cole. Paul Arthur Dayer. Congratulations to all of you, and welcome to the Old Guard of Their Majesties Royal College in Virginia. Now we would like to invite all of our guests in the audience to head to the courtyard on the opposite side of the Wren Building. There you'll meet our new inductees as they process through in a few minutes. While you head over, the choir will lead the class of 1964 in singing our alma mater. 74. 74. Now please rise as we join the choir in singing the first and last verses of the alma mater.
Students' voices swelling